Hi guys, it's Rushmina and welcome back to the Peppy Podcast. Welcome. Today we have someone who is a medical student and a dear friend of mine, Aaron Fernandez. Welcome, Aaron.
Hiya.
Thanks for being here, Aaron.
Oh, thanks for having me.
And today we're going to discuss resilience
Yes.
and what that means to you and how it applies to your life.
Yes.
Okay, so let's begin by discussing what resilience means to you.
Well, Rushmina, that's actually a very good question because resilience can mean different things for so many people.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's being able to bounce back and recover whenever a difficult situation or challenge is in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that for some other people, resilience can mean being tough in their capacity to endure a difficult situation.
Mm-hmm.
So it can mean different things for each individual, but I think the common theme is that element of endurance and recovery.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I really like the way you define that. And when you think of this, do you mean sort of like an emotional resilience?
And it can be, yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's being able to regulate your feelings, and I think it's really important as well that with resilience you allow yourself to to feel these emotions because when, for example, if you're experiencing failure or if you feel overwhelmed,
Mm-hmm.
you you might feel emotions that can be really uncomfortable for you, and
Correct.
your instinct is telling you to avoid it or to
Mm-hmm.
distract yourself,
Mm-hmm.
so that you don't feel these uncomfortable emotions. But it's really important that you are able to be comfortable
Mm-hmm.
with those uncomfortable emotions,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and get used to it, because by getting used to those uncomfortable emotions, it prepares you to handle it and cope with it better the next time
Mm-hmm.
that you start feeling them.
Mm-hmm. I really like how you said that. So, have you ever been in a situation where you've needed to apply this resilience?
hmm
Okay.
Yeah, I think what is quite a common theme, particularly among medical students, is
Mm-hmm.
finances.
Right.
Finances is particularly if you're from a background that's not very wealthy, or
Mm-hmm.
you find yourself in medical school and you're having to pay for your rent, your energy, and
Mm-hmm.
all these expenses that are coming out of your bank account, and you're realizing, oh, I don't have that much left for
Mm-hmm.
myself to enjoy,
Mm-hmm.
and you're constantly thinking, now, am I going to be able to afford next month's rent and energy bills?
Mm-hmm.
And when you start feeling these uncomfortable emotions and you start becoming overwhelmed by the financial stress of being a medical student, it can feel really uncomfortable. A lot of people might feel anxiety
Mm-hmm.
about their ability to cope financially. And if you're not used to that feeling
Mm-hmm.
of being able to handle finances, it's so easy to become overwhelmed and to feel like you're in a crisis.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but those but that that initial scenario, that first time you experience it,
Mm-hmm.
it's so important to allow yourself to feel that and allow yourself to express those emotions, because then you start to understand your feelings,
Mm-hmm.
you work from there,
Mm-hmm.
and the next time that you might feel like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to be able um to pay next month's rents or energy bills,
Mm-hmm.
you can cope with that emotion better. I can cope with that emotion better, and I can start to recover faster from it and
Mm-hmm.
start thinking, oh, what can I do next to prepare for the next time this happens?
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't feel so overwhelmed,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Okay. So you're saying you basically bounce back faster if you're more resilient.
Yeah.
Okay. I like what you mean. So would you say your resilience has sort of grown over the years?
Oh, absolutely. Resilience is something that you build up. It's not something that you're born with.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and bringing it back to being a medical student,
Mm-hmm.
um, and I spoke earlier about failure.
Mm-hmm.
That is a fear that so many medical students have and are very unfamiliar with,
Mm-hmm.
because medical students historically are people who come from backgrounds who um, are either wealthy backgrounds or inherently are very smart. So if you're from wealthy background, you'll have had all these resources available to you to prepare you for challenges. You have access to classes that you can pay for so that you can so that you can so that you can excel in your exams. You have resources that allow you to enjoy yourself, go out with your friends. You might have access to parents or chauffeurs growing up.
Correct.
that can take you to places and meet your friends. But you might also be from a background that's not very wealthy.
Yep.
But you are also inherently smart. So growing up, you could have been told, "Oh, you're so good. You pass all your exams. You're a straight A student, and you're constantly getting praises." But for both these people, when the first time they experience failure, it's such an uncomfortable feeling. You might feel angry, guilt. You might feel your self-esteem just hits rock bottom, and then you start thinking, do I belong in medical school? Do I have what it takes to be here? And that initial feeling is what so many medical students are afraid of and have very limited familiarity with. And dealing with that is really difficult. And that's why I mentioned at the start, it's so important to allow yourself to feel these emotions so that you can bounce back from it. Because all throughout your life, you're always gonna face situations where you feel like you're not gonna be able to cope.
Yep.
Or you feel like, I've failed this.
Yep.
But after you've experienced that, how do you work from there?
Correct. Yeah, so how do you work from there? What do you do? What works for you?
What do I do?
Yeah.
Well, I've already said I allow myself to feel these emotions.
Okay.
Give yourself time. It could be, a couple of minutes. For some people, a couple of hours. If you need to take a day out,
yep.
Yes. If it's completely up to every individual. And for me, if I let's give the example that I failed my exam. Okay. I'm gonna take the day out.
Yep.
To think about what went wrong.
Yeah.
Allow myself to feel those emotions. Maybe in isolation. Maybe I don't want to surround myself with people, and that's fine. But give yourself the chance to feel those emotions so that once you've had that time with yourself and to feel them, I can then start workshopping. What can I do better for next time?
So sort of like understanding yourself a little better.
Yeah. And then there's a lot of resources out there as well. A lot of great apps that you can listen to. Podcasts, Peppy Podcasts. It's really great for self-esteem. I've listened to a couple of your episodes. What else? And university.
Yeah.
If it is exam failure that you have experienced, has a really great student support service that people don't utilize enough. We have counseling services available to us as well. And sometimes it's quite difficult to find them because maybe they're not being promoted well enough. But universities tend to have
counseling,
very good counseling services that are completely free to people.
Yep. And that's a very big benefit because you don't have to worry about the additional finances going into that. So that's one less thing to stress about. So I completely agree with you. But what I want to ask you is that have you ever been in a position where you felt like you have no resilience left? And if so, how do you kind of go on in that moment?
Okay. When you feel like you don't have any resilience left, that's a very good question. And for me, having no resilience left is a moment of crisis.
Yeah.
A moment of feeling overwhelmed of overthinking. And that's a situation where I imagine my self-esteem would hit rock bottom. The only scenario that I can think of there is going back to finances. Like, for example, maybe it was after Christmas, and that was a really expensive Christmas. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, I did not think ahead. I did not budget for this. And now I have rent to pay for. I have energy bills to pay for, and not enough in my bank account.
So consequences of being too generous.
Yeah. So I'm looking at my bank account and I'm thinking ahead. I'm allowing my anxiety to get to me, because now I'm counting how many days until my next income. How many days can I let this pass before I start getting letters, or before the energy company decide they're going to cut off my energy. So all these thoughts start building up. Individually, they might be manageable. But because in that moment of crisis and being overwhelmed, it's in your head, it might feel like this is not something that you have control over. And all these thoughts start to pile up. And then you let it get to you. And when you let it get to you, I feel like that is a moment where your resilience has run out, or rather it's an unfamiliar feeling. So then you've not built the capabilities to bounce back from it. So in those moments, you really just gotta let yourself reflect and understand what is going on. And that can be hard. It can be hard. And and there's so many ways to cope with it. And for me, how I coped with that is like trying to figure out, what can I do to handle this. It could mean listing it out, writing it out. So then you've broken it down into little pieces. And then creating baby steps to recover from it. So then I've sort of workshopped with myself, what am I going to do next? But those next steps won't happen until you've understood your emotions.
Correct.
Because I'm not going to be able to write that list if I'm crying my eyes out.
Or if you don't even realize you're sort of, burnt out in that sense. Because I feel like I've had burnout and I didn't know I was burnt out at the time. And I didn't want to acknowledge it. And how it showed up in my body was that I was so tired. And I'm normally a morning person and I'm quite energetic. And at 8 a.m. I used to feel like I've worked for 12 hours and I was ready to collapse. And I think when this kept going on, initially I was like, no, I'm just anemic. Let me take some iron tablets.
Like, we live in Scotland. Iron tablets sort everything. Apparently.
So I just took iron tablets for a while, and then weeks later, I'm still feeling the same way. And I'm like, this doesn't seem right. Something's wrong with me. And I think that's only then that I realized I've really pushed myself too far, spread myself too thin, and my body's catching up with me,
And you said it there. You didn't realize what burnt out feels like.
Correct.
Because you're so unfamiliar with it.
Yep, correct.
And until you understood what it felt like, you're not going to be able to recover from it or build up your defenses for the next time you experience it. So that was the example you gave there, was your initial experience of feeling overwhelmed or crisis.
Yeah. And is there anything you'd like to say to our listeners on how to build more resilience for the future?
I think I've already mentioned it. It's so important to allow yourself to feel these emotions, and it's so important to practice self-compassion. If you do start to feel like, I don't know if I'm good enough, That's an example of imposter syndrome. It's so important to forgive yourself
Mm.
and tell yourself, this is something that you can come back from.
I think another thing I've heard someone say, which I found quite useful, is talk to yourself like you talk to your best friend.
Yeah.
So if your best friend failed an exam, you wouldn't tell your best friend that, they were stupid or they were incompetent. Then why should you talk to yourself that way?
Yeah.
So I found that quite helpful.
Yeah. You could talk to yourself in the mirror.
Yeah.
Or like I said, like the counseling service was really good in that sometimes you just need somebody to listen to you in a non-judgmental environment.
Yeah.
And a counseling service
Is-
can really offer that.
Yep.
But then people are always talking about, when you're faced with like a challenge or a difficult situation, just figure out what you're going to do next. You can't figure out what you're going to do next unless you know your emotions first.
Correct.
Unless you've coped with that first.
Yeah.
Because if you start working towards what you're going to do next and you've completely avoided those feelings of guilt, of fear, of anxiety,
Yeah.
then your head's going to be all over the place.
And your tank is empty.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So basically, I think what we both agree on is you need time to recharge and refill your energy sources.
Yes.
And by doing self-compassion and being present with our emotions, being in touch with our emotions, we can be more resilient people.
Yeah.
And that would hopefully mean that we perform better and live happier lives.
Yeah. Having emotions and feeling your emotions is not a weakness.
No, not at all.
It can absolutely be a strength.
Yep, I agree with you. And I think not only a strength, I think it's a superpower, because in today's world, a lot of people are very distracted. So if you meet someone who's very connected with their emotions, it shows that they're aware, and it's a very nice thing to see. Thank you, Aaron. I really
Thank you.
appreciate your input. It was great to have you.
It was great chatting with you, Rashmina.
Yeah. Stay tuned for our next episode, and I will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.